there's a planet made entirely of diamonds. Imagine drifting through the infinite black ocean of space, where silence is not just absence of sound, but a crushing weight pressing against your thoughts. Now, picture a world far beyond the reach of human hands, where the ground beneath your feet is not rock, not soil, but pure diamond. This is not fantasy. This is not a fever dream whispered in the dead of night. It is real. A planet orbiting a distant star, forged in the crucible of cosmic violence, its heart crystallized into unimaginable wealth. A world that mocks our greed, taunts our ambition, and whispers a truth so unsettling it claws at the edges of human sanity. The universe does not care about your desires. We call it 55 Cancri E. To astronomers, it is an exoplanet, a distant sphere locked in eternal orbit around a sun-like star. To dreamers, it is paradise. To philosophers, it is a cruel joke. And to you, it is a question that will haunt you long after this story ends. If wealth beyond imagination exists, but you can never touch it, does it still matter? The surface of this world is a furnace, 2,400 degrees Celsius. Diamonds do not sparkle here. They burn in silence, locked beneath crushing pressure. No human could walk its plains, no machine could survive its wrath. And yet, we dream. We dream of carving its riches, of bending the cosmos to our will, because that is what we are, creatures of hunger, of desire, of endless wanting. But here's the truth that gnaws at the edges of reason. The universe is not a treasure chest waiting to be plundered. It is an indifferent abyss, scattering jewels across the void, not for us, but for no one. And in that indifference lies the most terrifying revelation of all: our dreams mean nothing. Tonight, we journey into that abyss. We will peel back the layers of science, greed, and existential dread. We will confront the question that lurks behind every glittering promise. What happens when desire collides with infinity? This is not just a story about a planet. It is a story about us, our fragile minds, our insatiable hunger, our desperate need to matter in a universe that does not even know we exist. And as you listen, as you drift deeper into this cosmic nightmare, remember, some treasures are not meant to be touched. Some dreams are better left in the dark. Welcome to the Diamond Planet. The discovery that shook astronomy. In the quiet corridors of astronomical research, discoveries often arrive like whispers, subtle, almost timid, before they swell into roars that shake the foundations of human understanding. The story of the Diamond Planet began just like that: a faint signal, a flicker of light, a mathematical anomaly buried in the data streams pouring from telescopes aimed at distant stars. It was the early 2000s, a time when exoplanet hunting was still in its adolescence. Astronomers were scouring the skies, searching for worlds beyond our solar system, worlds that might cradle life or hold secrets of cosmic evolution. Among these seekers was a team focused on a star system known as 55 Cancri, a relatively ordinary star, yellow-white and steady, nestled about 40 light-years away in the constellation Cancer. The instruments detected something unusual: a wobble in the star's motion, a rhythmic tug that hinted at the gravitational influence of an orbiting body. At first, it seemed routine. Another exoplanet, another data point in the growing catalogue of alien worlds. But as the numbers were crunched, as the models refined, the truth began to shimmer like a mirage on the horizon. This was no ordinary planet. 55 Cancri E, as it would come to be known, defied expectations. Its mass was staggering, 8 times that of Earth, yet its size was only twice as large. This meant density, crushing and immense, far beyond what rocky planets typically exhibit. The implications were electrifying. This world was forged from something heavier, something exotic. As spectroscopic analysis deepened, the whispers grew louder. The planet's composition appeared rich in carbon, an element that, under the right conditions of pressure and heat, transforms into diamond. Theorists began to sketch scenarios almost too audacious to believe. A planet where the mantle is not molten rock but crystalline carbon, where mountains glitter like frozen stars, where the very bedrock is a treasure beyond imagination. News of the findings rippled through the scientific community, igniting debates that spilled into the public sphere. Was this real? Could nature craft such opulence on a planetary scale? The headlines were irresistible: astronomers discover diamond planet. It sounded like science fiction, a fever dream of wealth and wonder. Yet behind the sensationalism lay rigorous data, peer-reviewed and scrutinized, pointing to a reality stranger than fantasy. The discovery was more than a curiosity, it was a revelation. It challenged our assumptions about planetary formation, about the diversity of worlds scattered across the galaxy. Until then, Earth had been our template, a rocky sphere orbiting a temperate star, adorned with oceans and continents. But 55 Cancri shattered that mold, reminding us that the cosmos is not obliged to mirror our expectations. It is a forge of extremes, a crucible where matter dances to laws both familiar and alien. For the astronomers who first glimpsed its signal, the experience was humbling. They were peering into a reality that mocked human greed, a world so rich in what we prize that its abundance rendered value meaningless. Imagine standing on a plain of diamond, stretching beyond the horizon, knowing that every glittering facet is beyond your reach, not because of ownership, but because of physics, because of the merciless distances that separate us from this cosmic jewel. The psychological impact of such knowledge is profound. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about desire and limitation. We are creatures wired to covet, to chase, to possess. Yet here lies a treasure trove that no empire can conquer, no billionaire can buy. It exists in splendid isolation, indifferent to our longing, a silent testament to the futility of material obsession. As the discovery sank in, questions multiplied like stars in a darkening sky. How many such worlds are out there? Is 55 Cancri a rare anomaly or a harbinger of countless diamond planets scattered across the galaxy? And if so, what does that say about the nature of value, about the constructs upon which human civilization is built? The answers remain elusive, but the implications are staggering. In a universe where diamonds can form by the planet load, scarcity, the bedrock of economics, becomes a fragile illusion. Wealth, that shimmering idol we worship, dissolves into meaninglessness when abundance reigns supreme. And in that dissolution lies a deeper terror. If our measures of worth collapse, what anchors our sense of purpose? This is why the discovery of 55 Cancri is not just an astronomical footnote. It is a mirror held up to humanity, reflecting our hungers, our frailties, our desperate need to matter. It is a story that begins with telescopes and data, but ends in the labyrinth of the human psyche, where questions of meaning echo louder than any scientific fact. In the chapters that follow, we will journey deeper into this enigma. We will explore the science that birthed this revelation, the philosophical quagmires it unveils, and the unsettling truths it whispers about our place in the cosmos. But for now, let this thought linger like a shard of ice in your mind. Somewhere out there, in the silent dark, a planet gleams with unimaginable riches, and it does not care. The science behind a diamond world. To understand the diamond planet, we must first peel back the layers of cosmic alchemy that sculpt such wonders. The existence of 55 Cancri is not a stroke of magic but a testament to the relentless laws of physics and chemistry, operating on scales so vast they dwarf human comprehension. At its core, the science begins with carbon, the element of life, the backbone of organic chemistry, and, under crushing pressure, the architect of diamonds. On Earth, diamonds form deep within the mantle, where carbon atoms are squeezed into a rigid lattice by forces that defy imagination. But what happens when this process unfolds not in a subterranean chamber but across an entire planet? The answer lies in planetary formation. Stars and their worlds are born from clouds of gas and dust, swirling in gravitational embrace. The composition of these primordial clouds dictates the fate of the planets they spawn. In the case of 55 Cancri e, the evidence suggests a carbon-rich environment, a stellar nursery where oxygen was scarce and carbon abundant. This imbalance set the stage for a world unlike any in our solar system. Imagine a planet forming from carbon-heavy material, accumulating layer upon layer of graphite and carbide compounds. As the planet grows, gravity tightens its grip, compressing these layers under unimaginable pressure. Temperatures soar to thousands of degrees, catalyzing transformations that turn graphite into diamond. Over eons, the planet becomes a gemstone on a cosmic scale, a sphere where the mantle is a glittering expanse of crystallized carbon. But the story does not end there. The conditions on 55 Cancri e are extreme beyond measure. Its proximity to its parent star subjects it to a hellish environment, surface temperatures exceeding 2,400 degrees Celsius, radiation storms that would vaporize any terrestrial life, and tidal forces that lock the planet in eternal day and night. One hemisphere bakes under perpetual starlight, while the other languishes in endless darkness, a dichotomy that adds layers of complexity to its geology. Spectroscopic studies provide tantalizing clues. By analyzing the starlight that filters through the planet's atmosphere during transit, scientists can infer its chemical makeup. The data points to a world dominated by carbon compounds, with hints of silicates and possibly exotic materials forged under conditions alien to Earth. These findings bolster the hypothesis of a diamond-rich interior, though direct confirmation remains elusive. After all, we cannot drill into an exoplanet. We must rely on the fingerprints of light and the rigor of theoretical models. The implications ripple through astrophysics. If diamond planets exist, they are not mere curiosities but indicators of a broader class of carbon worlds, planets that challenge our Earth-centric assumptions and expand the taxonomy of celestial bodies. Such worlds may be common in systems where carbon outweighs oxygen, rewriting the narrative of planetary diversity. Consider the thermodynamics at play. Carbon, under high pressure, adopts the diamond lattice because it minimizes energy, a principle of stability that governs matter across the cosmos. On Earth, this transformation demands depths of hundreds of kilometers. On 55 Cancri e, the entire mantle may be a crucible, compressing carbon into diamond on a planetary scale. The result is a world whose very bones are crystalline, a geological marvel that mocks our notions of rarity. Yet, for all its splendor, 55 Cancri e is a hostile jewel. Its surface is likely a seething ocean of molten rock, its atmosphere a toxic shroud of vaporized minerals. Diamonds, if they exist there, do not sparkle in sunlight. They lurk beneath infernal layers, locked away in a furnace that no probe could withstand. This irony is profound, a planet of unimaginable wealth, rendered inaccessible by the very forces that created it. The science also invites speculation about habitability, not in the conventional sense, but in the context of chemistry. Could such carbon worlds harbor exotic forms of life, perhaps silicon-based organisms thriving in molten seas? The temperatures seem prohibitive, yet extremophiles on Earth teach us that life is tenacious, adapting to niches once deemed impossible. While 55 Cancri e itself is almost certainly sterile, its existence hints at a menagerie of carbon planets where conditions might be less severe, raising questions that blur the line between geology and biology. Beyond biology, the discovery reshapes our understanding of planetary economics. Diamonds, prized for their rarity on Earth, become trivial in a universe where they can form by the planet load. This abundance undermines the very concept of value, exposing it as a parochial construct tethered to scarcity. In the cosmic ledger, wealth is meaningless. Physics does not care for human hierarchies of desire. As we probe deeper into the mechanics of diamond worlds, we confront a humbling truth. The universe is a master craftsman, sculpting wonders without regard for our dreams. It forges planets of fire and ice, of gas and crystal, in a ceaseless ballet of matter and energy. 55 Cancri E is but one note in this symphony, a glittering crescendo that reminds us of both the grandeur and the indifference of creation. In the next chapter, we will explore the psychological and economic paradoxes unleashed by this discovery. For now, let the science linger in your mind like starlight on the edge of perception, a planet born of carbon, baptized in fire, and crowned in diamond, a jewel adrift in the infinite night. The economics of the impossible. Economics thrives on scarcity. Diamonds, those glittering tokens of status and desire, owe their value not to utility but to rarity. On Earth, they are symbols of permanence, of wealth, of love, a mythology woven into carbon crystals. But what happens when scarcity collapses? What happens when the cosmos reveals a truth so vast it obliterates the foundations of human economics? Enter 55 Cancri E, the diamond planet. If its mantle truly consists of crystallized carbon, then its riches defy comprehension. Imagine a world where diamonds are not ornaments but bedrock, where mountains gleam with crystalline fire, where the very crust is a treasure trove beyond imagination. In human terms, its value would be incalculable, quadrillions, quintillions, numbers that dissolve into abstraction. Yet here lies the paradox. Infinite wealth is worthless when it cannot be claimed. This is the cruel irony of cosmic economics. The diamond planet mocks our systems of trade and value, exposing them as fragile constructs tethered to human limitations. On Earth, diamonds are scarce because geology conspires to keep them so. They form under conditions of pressure and heat that occur only in the planet's deep mantle, and even then, they must survive the violent journey to the surface. Their rarity fuels demand, and demand fuels price. But in a universe where entire planets may be made of diamond, scarcity becomes a local illusion, a trick of perspective. Consider the implications. If humanity could somehow harvest the riches of 55 Cancri E, the global diamond market would implode overnight. Prices would plummet, industries would collapse, and the cultural mythology surrounding diamonds, their association with love, power, and eternity, would unravel. The glittering idol we worship would be exposed as a mere arrangement of carbon atoms, stripped of mystique by abundance. But we cannot harvest it. The planet lies 40 light-years away, locked in a gravitational embrace with its star, bathed in infernal heat. No technology exists to bridge that gulf, and none may ever exist. This inaccessibility transforms the diamond planet into a philosophical riddle. Does value exist without possession? If a treasure lies beyond reach, does it still hold meaning? Economists grapple with tangible goods, with markets and exchange. They do not account for cosmic taunts, wealth that exists but cannot be touched. This question pierces deeper than economics. It strikes at the heart of human psychology. Our sense of worth is entwined with acquisition. We covet, we collect, we measure success in things owned. Yet here is a world that renders ownership impossible, a jewel that glimmers in the void, indifferent to our longing. Its existence forces us to confront an unsettling truth. Value is not inherent. It is a story we tell ourselves, a narrative stitched from scarcity and desire. Imagine a thought experiment. Suppose tomorrow, through some miracle of physics, humanity gains the ability to transport diamonds from 55 Cancri E to Earth. Ships laden with crystalline cargo flood the markets. What happens next? The first arrivals would spark frenzy, auctions, headlines, fortunes made and lost. But as supply swells, the frenzy would fade. Diamonds would become mundane, their aura evaporating like mist under a rising sun. Engagement rings would lose their luster, vaults would overflow, and the very concept of luxury would collapse. In a world drowning in abundance, what becomes precious? Perhaps rarity would migrate to new frontiers, art, experiences, intangible forms of status. Or perhaps desire itself would wither, strangled by the futility of endless plenty. This is the paradox of abundance. It erodes meaning. When everything is attainable, nothing is cherished. The diamond planet, in its silent orbit, whispers this truth like a cosmic oracle. Our hungers are fragile, our myths brittle, our economies built on sand. Yet even in its unattainability, 55 Cancri E exerts power. It haunts our imagination, fuels speculation, inspires dreams of interstellar conquest. Corporations sketch fantasies of mining fleets, of technologies that could strip mine worlds and ferry their spoils across the stars. Science fiction revels in such visions, empires rising and falling on tides of cosmic wealth. But reality is merciless. The energy required to reach and exploit such a planet dwarfs any conceivable return. The laws of physics are indifferent to ambition. This indifference is humbling. It reminds us that economics, for all its equations and models, is a parochial science, a framework for managing scarcity on a single world. Beyond Earth, scarcity and abundance dance to rhythms we barely comprehend. There are planets of iron, of ice, of diamond, of elements exotic and rare. Their existence mocks our obsessions, revealing them as local quirks in a cosmos that traffics in extremes. And yet, we cannot look away. The diamond planet is a mirror, reflecting our desires in cruel clarity. It shows us a future where wealth is meaningless, where value is a phantom, where the pursuit of possession collapses under the weight of infinity. In that future, perhaps humanity will evolve beyond material hunger, anchoring its sense of worth in knowledge, in art, in the intangible. Or perhaps we will cling to our old myths, chasing glitter across the void, blind to the futility of the chase. As we ponder these questions, one truth endures: the universe does not care. It spins its worlds in silence, forging jewels and wastelands alike, heedless of the dramas they ignite in human minds. 55 Cancri E will continue its orbit, a diamond in the dark, while we grapple with the economics of the impossible, a riddle with no solution, a story with no end. In the next chapter, we will confront the psychological shadows cast by this revelation, the dark side of desire, the terrors that stir when dreams collide with infinity. For now, let the paradox linger, a planet of diamonds, priceless yet worthless, a treasure that mocks the very concept of treasure. The cosmic lottery, why we can't reach it. The diamond planet glimmers in the void, a jewel adrift in darkness, and yet it remains forever beyond our grasp. This is the cruel lottery of the cosmos, prizes scattered across an infinite stage, tickets sold to no one. To understand why we cannot reach 55 Cancri E, we must confront the merciless arithmetic of distance, energy, and time, a calculus that humbles even our boldest dreams. 40 light-years. At first glance, the number seems modest, almost trivial in the language of astronomy. After all, the Milky Way spans 100,000 light-years. 40 is a mere whisper in that vastness. But for humanity, bound to a fragile world and primitive engines, 40 light-years is an abyss. Light itself, the fastest thing in existence, takes 4 decades to bridge that gulf. Our spacecraft, crawling at fractions of a percent of light speed, would require tens of thousands of years to arrive. Generations would live and die in the shadow of a journey that never ends. Consider our fastest emissary, the Parker Solar Probe, skimming the Sun at a blistering 430,000 miles per hour. At that speed, it would take over 17,000 years to reach 55 Cancri, 17 millennia, longer than the span of recorded human history. Empires would rise and fall, languages would vanish, continents would shift, and still the probe would drift through the interstellar dark, chasing a dream that mocks its slowness. The tyranny of distance is compounded by the tyranny of energy. To accelerate a spacecraft to even a fraction of light speed demands fuel on a scale that defies imagination. The equations are merciless. As velocity climbs, energy requirements soar exponentially. A ship capable of reaching 10% of light speed, a feat far beyond our current technology, would consume energy rivaling the output of entire civilizations. And even then, the voyage would last 4 centuries. 400 years of isolation, of systems failing, of hopes decaying into silence. This is why the Diamond Planet is not a destination but a phantom, a glittering mirage that lures our ambition into the desert of impossibility. We can see it, measure it, model its secrets, but we cannot touch it. The cosmos enforces its boundaries with iron laws, indifferent to yearning. Physics is not negotiable. It does not bend to desire. Yet humans are stubborn dreamers. We sketch fantasies of starships driven by fusion, by antimatter, by sails that ride the pressure of starlight. We imagine wormholes punched through space-time, shortcuts carved by exotic geometries. Science fiction intoxicates us with visions of warp drives and hyperspace, of voyages that compress centuries into days. But reality is sober. Wormholes remain mathematical curiosities, warp drives demand energies that border on the infinite, and antimatter propulsion is a perilous dream. For now, and perhaps forever, the stars are locked behind walls we cannot breach. This inaccessibility breeds a peculiar kind of despair, a cosmic claustrophobia that gnaws at the edges of human ambition. We are explorers by nature, wired to push boundaries, to plant flags on distant shores. Yet here we stand, marooned on a pale blue, staring at riches that shimmer beyond reach. The Diamond Planet becomes a symbol of our impotence, a reminder that the universe is not a playground but a fortress. And still, we dream. We draft blueprints for generation ships, vast arcs that carry thousands across the void, their voyages spanning centuries. We imagine cryogenic slumber, minds frozen in time, awakening under alien suns. We flirt with the idea of digital immortality, consciousness uploaded into machines that endure the long night between stars. These visions are seductive, but they are also fraught with peril. How do you sustain life for centuries? How do you shield fragile bodies from cosmic radiation, from micrometeorite impacts, from the entropy that corrodes all systems? The challenges multiply like hydra heads, each solution spawning new dilemmas. Even if we solve these riddles, the question remains, why? Why chase a planet of diamonds when the cost is so staggering, the risks so lethal? Is it greed that drives us, or something deeper, a hunger for transcendence, a refusal to accept the prison of Earth? Perhaps the Diamond Planet is not a goal but a goad, a glittering provocation that forces us to confront the limits of our power. It whispers to us of infinity, daring us to defy the chains of time and space. But defiance has consequences. Imagine a future where humanity pours its resources into interstellar conquest, sacrificing generations for the promise of alien wealth. Imagine the fractures that would tear societies apart, the ethical debates, the political upheavals, the wars waged over who gets to board the Ark. The Diamond Planet could become a catalyst for chaos, a dream that corrodes the very fabric of civilization. And yet, perhaps that dream is necessary. Perhaps it is the engine of progress, the spark that drives innovation, the law that keeps us from stagnation. History is a litany of impossible quests, the moon, the poles, the depths of the sea. Each seemed unattainable until it wasn't. Perhaps the stars will follow the same pattern, their walls breached by minds that refuse surrender. Or perhaps not. Perhaps the cosmos will remain an unbroken fortress, and we will learn to make peace with our confinement. In the end, the diamond planet is a paradox, a treasure that cannot be claimed, a prize that cannot be won. It reminds us that the universe is vast beyond reckoning, that our ambitions are small against its immensity. It humbles us, even as it ignites our imagination. And in that tension, in that dance between desire and impossibility, lies the essence of the human story. In the next chapter, we will descend into the psychological labyrinth carved by this revelation, the dark side of desire, the shadows that stir when dreams collide with the infinite. For now, let the thought linger like a distant star. The cosmos is a lottery with no winners, and the ticket you hold is stamped with the word never. The dark side of desire. Desire is the engine of human history. It drives invention, conquest, art, and atrocity. It is the spark that ignites revolutions and the poison that corrodes empires. But desire, unchecked and insatiable, has a shadow, a darkness that festers in the corners of ambition. The diamond planet, 55 Cancri E, is more than a scientific marvel. It is a mirror held up to that shadow, reflecting truths we would rather ignore. From the moment news of its existence rippled through the world, imaginations ignited. Headlines screamed of a planet made of diamonds, and minds leapt to visions of wealth beyond reckoning. The fantasy was intoxicating: mountains of crystal, valleys glittering like frozen fire, riches so vast they could drown economies and crown kings. But beneath the glitter lurked something primal, a hunger that knows no bounds. Greed is a shapeshifter. It cloaks itself in dreams of progress, in rhetoric of opportunity, in the language of destiny. Yet its essence is raw and ruthless. The urge to possess, to dominate, to hoard. The diamond planet, unreachable as it is, awakens this urge in its purest form. It whispers promises it cannot keep, stoking fires that burn without fuel. And in those fires, civilizations have perished. History is littered with cautionary tales. Gold rushes that left landscapes scarred and souls broken. Oil booms that birthed empires and toppled nations. The lust for resources has sparked wars, enslaved millions, and carved wounds into the fabric of humanity. Now imagine a resource so vast it eclipses all others, a planetary hoard of diamonds, shimmering in the dark. What would we sacrifice to claim it? What horrors would we unleash? Even in its inaccessibility, the diamond planet exerts a sinister gravity. It bends thought, warps priorities, seeds fantasies of conquest. Corporations draft speculative plans for interstellar mining, their projections dripping with zeros. Politicians invoke the rhetoric of destiny, framing cosmic exploitation as the next frontier of national pride. Science fiction feeds the frenzy, painting futures where fleets of starships strip mine alien worlds, their holds bursting with crystalline spoils. These visions are seductive, but they are also corrosive. They normalize the unthinkable, eroding ethical boundaries until atrocity masquerades as ambition. And what of the psychological toll? Desire, when thwarted, curdles into despair, into rage, into obsession. The diamond planet is a dream forever deferred, a prize dangled beyond reach. For some, this will be a curiosity, a glittering footnote in the annals of astronomy. For others, it will be a torment, a wound that festers in the psyche. Obsession breeds extremism. It drives men to madness, to violence, to acts that defy reason. In the shadow of 55 Cancri E, we glimpse the outlines of futures where humanity fractures under the weight of its own hunger. The darkness deepens when we consider inequality. Wealth is power, and power is a drug. If the diamond planet were accessible, who would control its riches? Who would reap its spoils? History offers grim answers: the few, the privileged, the ruthless. The scramble for cosmic treasure would mirror the colonial atrocities of Earth, scaled to interstellar dimensions. Wars would ignite, not for land or oil, but for glittering stones that mock the concept of value. Blood would stain the stars. But perhaps the most chilling aspect of this desire is its futility. The diamond planet cannot be claimed, not now, perhaps not ever. It is a phantom, a mirage shimmering on the horizon of possibility. And yet, we yearn. We yearn knowing the dream is hollow, knowing the chase is madness. This is the pathology of desire. It thrives on impossibility. The unattainable is its purest fuel. The more distant the prize, the fiercer the hunger. In this sense, 55 Cancri E is not a planet but a provocation, a cosmic dare that goads us toward the brink. What does this reveal about us? That we are creatures of longing, wired to chase shadows even as they dissolve in our grasp. That our myths of progress and prosperity are veneers, masking appetites that know no satiation. The diamond planet strips away these veneers, exposing the raw machinery of want. It forces us to confront a question as old as ambition: when does desire cease to be a force for growth and become a vector of ruin? Perhaps the answer lies in restraint, in learning to temper hunger with humility, to anchor worth in something deeper than possession. But restraint is a fragile virtue, easily shattered by the glitter of promise. And so the darkness looms, a specter cast by a world we will never touch, a jewel that gleams like a curse. In the next chapter, we will widen the lens, peering into the cosmic theater where other actors may lurk, civilizations older and bolder than ours, perhaps already feasting on the riches we can only dream of. For now, let this thought linger like a shard of glass in the mind. Desire is not a flame but a wildfire, and the diamond planet is its spark. Alien civilizations and diamond worlds. The diamond planet is a marvel to human eyes, but what if those eyes are not the only ones gazing upon it? What if, in the silent reaches of space, other minds, older, wiser, and infinitely stranger, have already claimed such worlds as their own? This question is not idle speculation. It is a doorway into a realm where science and imagination collide, where the shadows of possibility stretch long and dark. For centuries, humanity has pondered the existence of extraterrestrial life. From ancient myths to modern SETI programs, the idea of alien civilizations has haunted our collective psyche. The discovery of exoplanets has only intensified this obsession. Each new world is a canvas upon which we paint our hopes and fears. And among these worlds, 55 Cancri E stands as a masterpiece, a jewel so extravagant it seems destined to attract attention beyond our own. Consider the logic. If life emerged on Earth, why not elsewhere? The universe is vast beyond reckoning, its stars numbering in the hundreds of billions, its planets in the trillions. To assume we are alone is not humility but hubris. And if life exists elsewhere, intelligence may have flowered under alien suns, giving rise to civilizations that dwarf our own in age and power. Civilizations that have mastered technologies we can scarcely imagine, technologies that render the gulf between stars a trivial inconvenience. If such beings exist, what would they seek? Survival, perhaps. Knowledge, certainly. But also resources. Even advanced societies must contend with the demands of matter and energy. And in that calculus, diamond worlds may hold a lure, not for their beauty, but for their utility. Diamonds are not merely ornaments, they are superlative materials, unrivaled in hardness, thermal conductivity, and optical properties. In the hands of a species that bends physics to its will, these properties could underpin wonders beyond our comprehension, structures that pierce the fabric of space-time, engines that sip the energy of suns. Imagine a civilization that harvests diamond planets as casually as we quarry stone. Picture fleets of starships descending upon carbon worlds, their hulls gleaming like obsidian, their holds yawning to swallow mountains. Picture landscapes flayed and gutted, their crystalline bones fed into furnaces that birth technologies indistinguishable from magic. This is not fantasy, it is extrapolation, a thought experiment rooted in the trajectory of progress. If we, in our infancy, covet diamonds for adornment, what might a species a million years older covet them for? The implications are unsettling. If diamond planets are prizes in a cosmic economy, then the universe is not a serene expanse but a contested arena, a theater of extraction where empires rise and fall on tides of mineral wealth. And in that theater, we are not actors but spectators, huddled in the wings, ignorant of the drama unfolding beyond our reach. This prospect casts a long shadow over the dream of exploration. We imagine ourselves as pioneers, destined to stride among the stars. But what if the stars are already claimed? What if the frontiers we romanticize are littered with the ruins of wars fought over resources we barely comprehend? The silence of the cosmos may not signify emptiness, it may signify aftermath, a hush that follows cataclysm, a quiet thick with ghosts. And yet, silence is ambiguous. It may cloak absence, or it may cloak secrecy. Advanced civilizations, if they exist, may choose to remain unseen, their motives inscrutable, their methods opaque. They may watch us as we watch ants, noting our fumbling experiments with fire and flight, amused by our fantasies of conquest. Or they may ignore us entirely, their attention fixed on endeavors so vast our existence registers as less than a mote. But suppose they do notice us. Suppose they discern our hunger, our restless probing, our yearning for worlds like 55 Cancri. How would they respond? With indifference? With benevolence? With hostility? The spectrum of possibility is dizzying. We project our own psychology onto the unknown, imagining aliens as angels or demons, saviors or scourges. Yet the truth may be stranger than either, a truth that defies our moral binaries, that operates on principles as alien as their anatomies. This uncertainty breeds unease. It forces us to confront the fragility of our position in the cosmic hierarchy. We are not apex predators but provincial creatures, marooned on a speck, dreaming of dominion over realms we cannot reach. The diamond planet, in this light, becomes a symbol not of wealth but of vulnerability, a beacon that may draw eyes we would rather avoid. Should we fear this? Perhaps. Fear is the rational response to ignorance. But fear, like desire, is a double-edged blade. It can paralyze, or it can propel. It can drive us to retreat into insularity, or it can spur us to fortify our defenses, to sharpen our wits, to accelerate our ascent. The question is not whether alien civilizations exist, the question is whether we will meet them as supplicants or equals. Equality, however, is a distant dream. The technological gulf between us and a species capable of interstellar travel would be an abyss. Their mastery of energy, of matter, of information would render our arsenals quaint, our strategies laughable. In such a confrontation, survival might hinge not on strength but on subtlety, on diplomacy, on adaptability, on the wisdom to temper ambition with caution. Yet caution is not our forte. We are a species intoxicated by aspiration, by the lure of the forbidden. The diamond planet is forbidden in the most literal sense, and that very prohibition inflames our longing. It is a siren, singing of riches and glory, even as its song lures us toward reefs we cannot see. And in that song, alien ears may hear opportunity or threat. In the next chapter, we will pivot from speculation to philosophy, probing the fragility of value in a universe where abundance mocks scarcity. For now, let this thought coil in your mind like a serpent of fire. The diamond planet is not alone, and neither are we. The question is not whether others covet its riches, but whether they have already claimed them, and what they will do when they notice us staring. The fragility of value. Value is a fragile illusion. It shimmers like a mirage, convincing us of its permanence, even as it trembles under the weight of abundance. Diamonds, those glittering emblems of wealth and status, are perhaps the purest expression of this illusion. On Earth, they are rare, and rarity breeds desire. But in the cosmic ledger, rarity is a local phenomenon, a quirk of geology, a trick of circumstance. The diamond planet, 55 Cancri E, exposes this truth with merciless clarity. Imagine a world where diamonds are not treasures but terrain, where mountains gleam with crystalline fire, where valleys glitter like frozen stars. In such a world, the mythology of diamonds, their aura of exclusivity, their symbolic heft, collapses into absurdity. They become mere matter, stripped of mystique, reduced to utility. And in that collapse lies a revelation: value is not inherent. It is contingent, a story we tell ourselves to make sense of scarcity. This story is ancient. From shells to spices, from gold to gemstones, humanity has woven narratives around objects, elevating them from substance to symbol. We imbue them with meaning, with power, with promises of permanence. But these narratives are brittle. They fracture under the pressure of abundance, revealing the hollowness beneath. The diamond planet is a fracture writ large, a cosmic crack that splinters the edifice of value. Consider the psychological architecture of worth. We crave what is rare because rarity signals privilege, and privilege signals power. Diamonds, in their terrestrial scarcity, have become tokens of love, of status, of eternity. They adorn crowns and fingers, their sparkle a semaphore of success. But transplant these tokens into a context of plenitude, a planet where they litter the ground like pebbles, and their semaphore flickers and dies. What is a diamond when everyone has one? What is wealth when it is universal? This question is not hypothetical, it is prophetic. The universe traffics in extremes, in scales that dwarf our parochial notions of scarcity. There are planets of iron, of ice, of carbon, of elements exotic and rare. In such a cosmos, our hierarchies of value are provincial, our metrics of worth laughable. The diamond planet is a reminder, a glittering admonition, that the foundations of our economy, our culture, our identity are contingent upon conditions that are neither universal nor eternal. And yet, we cling. We cling to myths of permanence, to illusions of intrinsic worth. We inscribe vows in diamond, as if carbon could confer eternity. We hoard gemstones, as if their sparkle could stave off entropy. These gestures are poignant, but they are also pathetic. A theater of denial staged against the backdrop of a universe that renders our treasures trivial. The fragility of value is not merely an economic insight, it is an existential one. It forces us to confront the arbitrariness of meaning, the contingency of significance. If diamonds lose their luster in the glare of abundance, what else dissolves? Love, anchored in symbols? Power, tethered to possessions? Identity, scaffolded by status? The diamond planet is a solvent, eroding these constructs, leaving us naked before the void. This erosion breeds anxiety. We are creatures of narrative, of structure, of order. We crave anchors in the flux, moorings in the maelstrom. Value has been one such anchor, a metric that organizes desire, that stratifies society, that lends coherence to chaos. Strip it away, and the architecture trembles. What replaces it? Knowledge? Beauty? Virtue? These are noble candidates, but they too are vulnerable, contingent upon contexts that shift like sand. Perhaps the lesson of the diamond planet is not despair but liberation. If value is a fiction, we are free to rewrite it. We can craft narratives that privilege wisdom over wealth, creativity over consumption, empathy over accumulation. We can decouple worth from matter, anchoring it instead in mind, in spirit, in the intangible. This is a lofty vision, but it is not unprecedented. History is a palimpsest of values rewritten, honor supplanting blood, merit eclipsing birth, rights dethroning privilege. The diamond planet may be the next catalyst in this evolution, a cosmic nudge toward a paradigm where abundance annihilates avarice. Yet evolution is neither linear nor inevitable. It is jagged, capricious, fraught with regressions. The fragility of value can breed renaissance, but it can also breed ruin. Abundance can liberate, but it can also corrode, engendering ennui, nihilism, a collapse of purpose. When everything is attainable, nothing is cherished. When scarcity dies, desire withers, and in that withering, meaning falters. The diamond planet, in its silent orbit, whispers this warning: plenitude is perilous. What, then, is the antidote? Perhaps it lies in humility, in recognizing that our constructs are provisional, our metrics mutable. Perhaps it lies in curiosity, in embracing the flux as a field of play rather than a threat. Or perhaps it lies in transcendence, in seeking anchors beyond matter, beyond measure, beyond the fragile scaffolds of value. These are questions without answers, riddles without resolutions. But they are questions worth asking, for they pierce to the marrow of what it means to be human. In the next chapter, we will widen the aperture further, gazing into the abyss of cosmic indifference, a universe that spins its jewels without regard for our hungers, our hierarchies, our fragile fictions. For now, let this thought linger like a shard of starlight. Value is a story, and stories can shatter. The universe's indifference. Indifference is the universe's native tongue. It speaks in silence, in the cold hum of cosmic background radiation, in the unbroken darkness between stars. To imagine that the cosmos cares, that it arranges its wonders for our delight, is a comforting fiction, a lullaby whispered against the roar of infinity. But the diamond planet, 55 Cancri E, shatters that lullaby. It gleams in the void, not as a gift, not as a promise, but as an accident, a byproduct of blind forces grinding matter into improbable forms. This indifference is not malice, it is magnitude. The universe is vast beyond reckoning, its scales so monstrous they dwarf the dramas of human desire. Galaxies wheel in stately arcs, their stars kindling and guttering like sparks in a cosmic forge. Black holes feed in silence, their hunger insatiable, their gravity a snare for light itself. Amid this grandeur, what is a diamond planet? A mote. A curiosity. A flicker in the ledger of eternity. And what are we? Less than that. A breath, a heartbeat, a ripple that fades before it reaches the shore. Yet we persist in our anthropocentrism. We drape meaning over the void like a shroud, weaving narratives that cast us as protagonists in a cosmic play. We tell ourselves that the diamond planet matters because we discovered it, because we named it, because we dream of its riches. But these gestures are parochial, provincial, absurd. The planet does not know it is admired. It does not know it is coveted. It does not know we exist. It spins in darkness, heedless of our fantasies, its orbit a hymn to entropy. This is the terror of indifference. It erodes significance. It gnaws at the foundations of purpose, whispering that our hungers are hollow, our myths brittle, our empires ephemeral. We crave permanence, yet the stars themselves are mortal, their lifespans measured in billions of years, a blink in the chronology of the cosmos. We crave centrality, yet the universe is not a stage but a wilderness, its immensities indifferent to the dramas enacted on our speck of dust. The diamond planet is a case study in this indifference. It is beautiful, yes, but beauty is a human category, a lens through which we refract the chaos of matter. To the universe, it is not beautiful, it is inevitable. Carbon under pressure crystallizes. Heat sculpts lattice from chaos. Physics does what physics does, without motive, without malice, without mercy. The planet gleams not because it wishes to, but because it must. And in that must lies the chill of determinism, a reminder that the cosmos is a machine, grinding out patterns without regard for the poetry we project upon them. This realization is corrosive. It eats at the marrow of meaning, leaving us hollow, adrift in a sea of absurdity. If the universe does not care, why strive? Why dream? Why love? These questions echo in the caverns of existential thought, their reverberations spawning philosophies of despair and defiance. Camus counseled revolt, Nietzsche exhorted affirmation, Sartre prescribed freedom, but all these prescriptions are tinctures against the same poison, indifference. And yet, indifference is not the end of meaning, it is the beginning. For meaning, if it exists, is not bestowed, it is forged. It is not a gift, it is a task. The universe does not care, and that is our liberation. It frees us from the tyranny of teleology, from the illusion of cosmic scripts. It invites us to write our own, to carve significance from the bedrock of absurdity. The diamond planet, in this light, is not a mockery but a muse, a glittering goad that spurs us to create, to imagine, to defy the silence with song. But defiance is arduous. It demands courage, creativity, resilience. It demands that we anchor worth not in matter but in mind, not in possession but in perception. It demands that we transmute indifference into impetus, forging purpose in the crucible of contingency. This is the alchemy of meaning, the only alchemy that matters. The diamond planet will continue its orbit long after our species has vanished, long after our sun has gutted into a cinder, long after the Milky Way has merged with Andromeda in a cataclysmic waltz. It will gleam in darkness, indifferent as ever, its lattice untroubled by the evanescence of thought. And that is as it should be. For its indifference is not an insult, it is an invitation to reckon with our smallness, to embrace our brevity, to craft significance in the teeth of oblivion. In the closing reflection, we will gather these threads, desire and despair, abundance and absurdity, and weave them into a tapestry of insight, a meditation on what it means to hunger for meaning in a universe that offers none. For now, let this thought linger like a shard of ice in the mind. The cosmos does not care, and that is why we must. Closing reflection. The journey ends where it began, in darkness, in silence, in the infinite expanse that cradles both wonder and terror. We have wandered through the glittering corridors of possibility, tracing the contours of a planet forged from carbon and crowned in diamond. We have peered into the furnace of its geology, the labyrinth of its economics, the abyss of its psychology. We have conjured visions of alien empires and wrestled with the fragility of value. And now, at the threshold of conclusion, one truth looms like a monolith against the stars: the universe does not care. This indifference is not cruelty, it is constitution. It is the architecture of reality, the scaffolding upon which galaxies hang like lanterns in a windless void. It is the law that binds quarks and quasars, that scripts the choreography of matter and energy. Against this law, our hungers are whispers, our myths motes, our empires sparks that flare and fade in the blink of cosmic time. And yet, we dream. We dream because dreaming is defiance, because imagination is rebellion against the tyranny of silence. The diamond planet is a dream that gleams like a blade, slicing through the fabric of complacency. It reminds us that the cosmos is stranger than our stories, vaster than our visions, more indifferent than our darkest fears. It mocks our metrics of worth, our hierarchies of desire, our fragile fictions of permanence. It whispers that wealth is a phantom, that scarcity is a local illusion, that meaning is a task, not a gift. What, then, do we do with this whisper? Do we retreat into nihilism, surrendering to the void? Do we drown in despair, our ambitions curdling into apathy? Or do we rise, scarred but unbroken, humbled but unbowed, and forge significance in the crucible of absurdity? This is the question that coils at the heart of our species, a question older than language, older than fire. What does it mean to matter in a universe that does not? Perhaps it means this: to create, to carve beauty from chaos, to wrest order from flux, to kindle light against the encroaching dark. Perhaps it means to love, not as a strategy for survival, but as an act of defiance, a gesture of grace hurled into the teeth of entropy. Perhaps it means to know, to probe, to question, to map the contours of mystery even as they recede before us like a horizon forever deferred. These are fragile answers, provisional and imperfect. But they are ours. And in their fragility lies their glory. The diamond planet will endure long after we are gone. It will gleam in silence, its lattice untroubled by the evanescence of thought, its orbit a hymn to indifference. It will not mourn our passing, nor celebrate our ascent. It will simply be mute, magnificent, merciless. And that is as it should be. For meaning is not in the planet, it is in the gaze that beholds it, in the mind that marvels, in the heart that hungers even as it knows the hunger is vain. So let us marvel. Let us hunger. Let us dream, not because the dream will be realized, but because the dreaming is the point. Let us fling our questions into the void like sparks, knowing they will gutter and die, but flinging them anyway, because the act of flinging is a kind of flame. Let us write our stories in starlight even as the stars erase them, because the writing is a kind of victory, a victory not over the universe, but over the inertia of indifference. In the end, the diamond planet is not a destination but a mirror. It reflects our desires, our delusions, our defiance. It shows us the brittleness of value, the pathology of greed, the grandeur of imagination. It reminds us that we are small, but not insignificant, not because the cosmos cares, but because we care. And that caring, that trembling insistence on meaning, is the ember we carry through the long night. The night will be long. The silence will be deep. The indifference will be absolute. But the ember will glow, fragile and defiant, until it gutters into ash. And when it does, the universe will not notice. But we will have noticed. We will have burned. We will have blazed. And in that blaze, in that brief, incandescent flare, there is a kind of eternity. Welcome to the diamond planet. Welcome to the void. Welcome to the question that will haunt you long after the last word fades. What does it mean to matter when nothing matters?